You know, I was thinking about this last night, that I really want this radio show, Don, to be about not just sharing wisdom, but maybe giving some hope to people out there that are struggling right now. And
a lot of people are. I mean, I think that's just human nature. I mean, we know the person that says, man, they have it all together, and they're going for it. And then we know the person
we
who's...
never know what's going on behind the scenes.
Well, no, I mean, that's what we're thinking, but then there are the people that we can tell. We know that they're struggling, or they're on the edge, or the verge, or golf terminology, on the fringe, and can't quite get on the green, so to speak.
Yep, we can kind of tell. So we're hoping today to answer your questions. Many of you have contacted us and asked for some life advice, so we're hopefully going to give you some useful and principle-based answers this morning. We're going to be talking about difficult relatives, dealing with stress, and overcoming the need to do everything perfectly.
Well, you're not supposed to do everything perfectly?
Nope. No. We're human. We're never going to do everything perfectly.
Let's get started this morning of the introductions with a question. We got this via email. The listener writes, my mother-in-law is driving me crazy. She criticizes everything I do, constantly telling me how I should be parenting, how I should be cooking. She literally puts me down and tells me I do things wrong every time I see her. She points something out. This sounds a lot like the Ray Romano show. Everybody loves Raymond. That's kind of
exactly.
So the question is, why does she have it in for me? That would be one of the questions. The other one would be, what can I do to defend myself besides refusing to be around her, which is one way of, avoidance. Let's
one
just
way to deal with
avoid
it.
the problem. That's probably the number one way to not have a problem, is just to avoid the problem.
Well, it's a great question, and I'm sure she's not the only one out there that's got a difficult relative or someone in your life that's kind of hard to deal with. And so as I give some advice this morning, I promised you guys principle-based advice. Right. And so I'm going to give you some principles in this kind of situation dealing with difficult people. And one of the first things you got to do in any situation like this is make sure that you're seeing the situation accurately. And you're not assuming a lot of things, but you're really seeing the situation for what it is.
That probably happens a lot.
It happens
because
way a lot.
I bet you if you were to talk to her husband, now I'm going to guess he sees it, doesn't see it right either, but he would say, no, that's not the case at all. And today I am half-dressed, yes.
So people see the same thing differently,
right.
as Walt made that point. That was really good. Okay, so this is a universal principle of truth I want to make sure our listeners understand, is all bad behavior. Anytime someone's behaving in a mean or bad way, it's actually a request for love. And I know that sounds weird, but even though someone's being mean towards you and it will look like an attack on you, it'll feel like attack, it'll smell like an attack, it's actually not about you. Most of the time, it's about this other person who's having a problem. And their bad behavior is really trying to get love and attention and the validation they need.
So in this case, the mother-in-law may be looking for something. It's not so much of her being critical as it is that she's lacking something, or I'll use this example, the people that live through their kids through sports or beauty pageants, but kind of in a reverse way.
Yeah, kind of.
I mean,
my gut feeling would be that the mother-in-law probably has some low self-esteem herself. She's got some fear about being appreciated and being good enough. And probably the one area that she feels real positive about herself is her parenting or her housekeeping and those kinds of things.
The way I did it back in the 70s was this way, and it was, I was so good. Or the fact, like I said, she misses it. She's no longer, because all the kids are grown up and now she doesn't feel needed.
Yeah, and that's what she was good at. And so I think it's more about showing people what she knows. It's more about, if I share my wisdom about this, that kind of makes me feel important, feel appreciated, that kind of thing.
Well, we all see that. I mean, we see that all the time. People do it all that. I mean, I'm sure I do that. You just start saying things that you're like, I want to feel good, so I'll tell this story.
Absolutely. Because, at the end of the day, all of us have kind of a core fear that we're not good enough. And so a lot of our behavior is trying to get validation so that we feel like we are okay. And I would guess that this lady's mother-in-law, she may come across maybe even as a really strong personality, but a lot of people who come across really strong like that are overcompensating for some fear.
Right. Now, didn't we have a movie about that? Like, wasn't it J-Lo and Jane Fonda?
Oh
Like
yeah, Monster-in-Law. That's
So,
right.
so if you need the example, I guess you could just replay
Oh,
some of
she
those
was
scenes.
really bad.
Yeah, I mean, didn't she do things like put? She was like allergic to something.
Yeah, she was
and
allergic to
put,
peanuts,
oh,
and she put them in the gravy or something, tried to kill her.
They started hitting each other. We are not endorsing violence. That is for sure. Yeah.
Seriously. But it's really hard in a moment when someone's criticizing you to not take it personally and recognize that it's not about you. That's difficult. That takes a lot of maturity and wisdom to see it accurately to get to that place.
So if you, I mean, if someone said, and not that anyone's ever said anything critical about me, but I imagine if someone said something critical about me, I would take it personally too. So how do you? I mean, what do you do in that situation? I mean, what is because it gets back to her question. Her question was, hey, she laid out the whole groundwork. She put the cement floor in by really saying, my mother-in-law does this, but she wanted to know how she deals with it.
Yeah, she really asked, how do I defend myself? And this is really my advice is don't get offended and don't get defensive. Because there's really nothing to defend. This is not about you. So if you just kind of make a rule in your head that every time someone behaves badly towards you, it's a request for love. That's what they need is love. So instead of taking it personally and getting mad...
So wait.
All right.
People are driving right now and listening, and the guy that maybe told them they were number one because they cut him off or whatever, that guy needs love,
Told
right?
them they were number one.
He isn't,
Give him the
he
number
is,
one
yes,
middle finger.
Exactly. He wasn't just shouting out mad. He's saying, I need love. So
Well,
should you follow him and then say, buddy, I'm here. Let me give you a hug. Because I know what you really need. Because that's...
that is an option because it's true, Don. He cut you off and got in front of you because that made him feel powerful or important.
3,000-pound vehicle, and he's got the steering wheel.
So when they do that to me, I sort of just, okay, bless them. They needed to do that to feel important, and I wish them good luck in life because you know what? Walking around with that kind of ego problem that I got to put other people down to feel good, that's a hard road. It's not going to go well for them.
Yeah, in fact, Buddy Hackett once said, I've had a few arguments with people, but I never carry a grudge. You know why? Because while I'm carrying the grudge, they're out dancing.
Oh.
Isn't that true?
You do have some wisdom this morning.
Well, no, that's from Buddy Hackett.
You got a good night's
I'm
sleep.
just taking stuff from him. But isn't that true? You get mad and you're carrying around that anger, and then the other person's forgot about it and they're out dancing with the best looking girl, and
So,
et cetera.
Bottom line, my advice is to kind of grow up, be mature about it, see that it's not about you, and make the choice to show up with love and kindness towards the mother-in-law. And honestly, it gets people because it's the last thing they expect. Most of the time when people behave badly towards you, they want you to behave badly back so that you're in the wrong too.
Well, then you can have the argument. Some people want, I notice that, and we've all been part of it probably. Like sometimes you want to argue or they want to argue and you see that, so you're like, hey, you're right. I shouldn't have done that, you're right. And then
It takes all the steam out of it.
But they can't find anything to grab onto and dig in.
You know what? Kindness is the last thing they expect when they're behaving badly. So I say for your mother-in-law, be so nice and grateful and loving, and instead of being bothered, ask her for advice. Say, give me some advice on this, and let her talk and tell her all her knowledge, and you know what will happen? She will feel validated, and I'll promise you she won't be as critical.
Mom, can I get your lasagna recipe? Because every time you make it, it is so delicious.
She would love that.
Killing them with kindness
versus
killing them softly with his song, which is a whole different...
A whole different topic. And I'll tell you what, people feel in your energy kind of where you are, so if you're offended and taking it personally, it puts kind of this yucky energy between you when you're around them. And our listener has the opportunity here to turn this whole situation. If she makes up her mind, I'm just going to love this woman, I'm going to just validate her, it's going to change. The energy in the situation is going to be different. Am I having microphone trouble?
No, I just wanted to be able to see the clock. Yeah, I can't. Well, we push that over just a little to the left. Thanks, buddy. Sorry, I can get up and walk away. Kim's like, what is he walking away for? Anyway. as you were saying.
Well, the moral of this one, you guys, is nobody can offend you without your permission.
That's tough.
It's tough. It
That
takes a
goes
lot of
back to-
maturity not to
See,
be.
you keep going back to maturity, which every time you get there, then I have to say, well, then that's not going to do me any good. I mean, really, up to that point, I was with you. I mean, it really was. And then you said maturity. I'm like, oh, jeez.
no,
Here I
you're in
am,
trouble.
40-something years old, and now you're talking about maturity. So far, it's worked not being mature. So be at the door in a moment.
All right. Well, anyway, we
am
hope
throwing you.
this helps the listener that asked the question in some level. And I know this is really hard to do, but she's got a chance here to kind of step it up. And I really believe every situation that comes into our life is there to give us an opportunity to step it up, to be a better us. And that's probably why she's in this situation. She's got an opportunity here to
Right.
either,
And change
behave
everything.
like a child or grow up and choose love even when it's hard to do.
Right. And then they'll have this better relationship, and the next time she'll say, I have this wonderful mother-in-law, let me tell you. So that'll be the next time we hear from her. So all right, that's some good advice.
Awesome.
Good advice. Good advice.
All right. Well, we're going to be back in a few minutes. We got to take a break, but we're going to come back with some more questions.
Yeah.
Your questions we'll be answering today.